Hi everyone, this is Joy for Spellbinders, and I am using their new Windy Sky background stamp, and I have decided to also use my gel press to make the background for the background. Now here is the Windy Sky background stamp. I'm using some Simon Hurley inks in Minty Fresh, Tropical Tango, Clear Skies, Remember Me, and Midnight Snack. And then here is my gel press along with the Tim Holtz. This is the smaller Brayer. Now I'm starting with the lightest color, which is Minty Fresh, and I am just going to roll this onto my gel press, and I'm going to go in order of colors from lightest to darkest. So Tropical Tango, Clear Skies, Remember Me, and Midnight Snack. And I'm going to overlap each one of these colors and get kind of a nice blend between the two before I move on to my next one. So like I said at the beginning, I'm going to be making a background for my background stamp. This is the Windy Sky background stamp. So obviously it's like little tufts of wind, but this really could also be waves as well. I think it really can work either way. I'm keeping it really as the wind, but I really love blues, and so I'm bringing blues into this color combination. So once I get all of my colors blended, I've got one more color after this, then I'm going to take a piece of white cardstock, A2 sized, and I'm going to lay that down onto my gel press on top of all of the ink, making sure I'm going to get all 5 of my ink colors onto my cardstock. So here it is. I'm going to lay it down, which was a little bit nerve-wracking. I was like, don't put it down crooked, Joy. I didn't. It was straight. And then I'm going to come back in with my brayer and just roll that across the back so I can get some good adhesion between the cardstock and the ink. So as you can see there, we've got a great blend of colors. I'm not super worried about some of the marks that you could see on there because we're putting this background stamp on. You're not even going to notice it when it's done. So I'm centering that in my cardstock. I was centering it because I thought I was going to leave the edge around, but I decided against that, so it really didn't matter. But I'm going to prep my cardstock with an anti-static powder tool. I'm making sure I get a really good amount of that on here, but also make sure that your inked background is dry before you even do this, because really you can't put enough powder on there to not make little pieces of embossing powder stick. So now that that's done, I'm going to come in with my VersaMark ink and I'm going to ink up my image. I think I ink it up a couple times, and I'm using white embossing powder for this. Any color would be a ton of fun. Gold would be gorgeous, silver. I mean, you really could make a ton of these cards super simply just by changing your background ink or by changing your embossing powder color. So I'm going to stamp that. I'm going to ink it up again and stamp it one more time. I want to make sure I've got a good crisp image to do some heat embossing with. Now that that's done, I'm going to sprinkle on my white embossing powder, and you're going to see this great background stamp come to life. And isn't that so gorgeous with all of those blues and the way that the colors fade into each other? This is one of my favorite cards. I just think it is so, so pretty. So now that I've dumped off the excess, I'm going to make sure my heat tool is nice and hot, bringing it to my cardstock to melt it. And you'll know it's melted because your embossing powder will be nice and shiny. And I just love the way that that changes. I think it's so pretty to watch embossing powder melt. And I'm going to heat from the front and the back to get a good quick heat on this. Now that that's done, look at how pretty that is. Oh my gosh, it's so, so pretty. So I'm going to come in, I'm actually using some word dies from the small die of the month from September of 2020. And this is going to say thank you. I'm die cutting that from white cardstock, and I'm also going to die cut that from gold mirror cardstock. The white is actually going to be the shadow behind the gold for this. So I'm going to glue that together, and I've actually die cut from the white cardstock 2 times. So once we have the 2 white cardstock pieces together and then gold on top, it'll be 3 layers thick, which will give some nice dimension. When I glue the gold to the front of each one of these letters and the sentiment, I'm actually going to glue it slightly down and to the right. That way you can see the white part of the shadow. So I'm using some new products here as well from Spellbinders. I am using the the Barely Art glue, and it comes with a couple different precision tips, which is fantastic. I'm also using the new reverse tweezers, and I already have some reverse tweezers, but these ones are heavy duty and they work fantastic. And I'm also using some grid paper from Spellbinders. So now I have my panel that we did the embossing on, and I trimmed that down about 1/4 inch on all sides, and I'm going to come in and glue my sentiment, and I'm gluing at the bottom right, making sure everything is lined up straight using those new reverse tweezers. That's a new fun word. Reverse tweezers to adhere down my sentiments. I've also cut a piece of gold cardstock as a mat, slightly larger than that card panel, and I'm going to adhere this to a white A2 size card base. I'm actually coming in with Honeybee Stamp's Oceanside Dewdrops, which I think are so gorgeous, and I'm using the blue and tan, which works perfectly for a beach theme, but then it works perfect. It is like the blue and gold of this card. So I'm going to adhere a few of those down with that Barely Art glue, which I'm actually really liking this glue. And this card is done. And isn't that so beautiful? Super easy to make, but this background stamp is just so pretty. And then doing that inking with the gel press for the background to the background stamp really worked out fantastic. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel, comment, thumbs up, and share. I really appreciate that. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye.